Welcome back. How would you feel if a teacher told your child that it was okay to fail? That's the basis of a new education movement in the US. It's a counter to this self-esteem movement where kids are repetitiously told that they are special and that they are doing things well.
OK, so in a moment we will ask, could it work here in Australia? But first, Brian Williams tells us this new idea is based on an old virtue.
What is grit?
Grit is the combination of persistence and resilience. So grit is being able to keep going through challenges and struggles, being able to work with focus independently. So that's the persistence part. The resilience, when you get knocked down, you bounce back up. So
these two men are among the primary drivers of the grit movement. Dave Levin is co-founder of KIP, a network of innovative public charter schools serving low-income city kids. Dominic Randolph is the headmaster of a very different institution, Riverdale Country School, a prestigious private school in a leafier section of New York City. These two leaders have joined together to develop what they call character education. Their message is character skills are crucial. They're just as important for kids from tough backgrounds as they are kids from well-off families. But fair warning to the kids and their parents who've been a part of the so-called trophy generation. This new movement might come as a big shock in a society that has valued self-esteem above all else.
When I started teaching in the 90s, there was this sense that everyone had to be rewarded, where people didn't want kids to experience failure. When you enter the work world, it isn't all blue ribbons, and it isn't all everyone is equal.
And I think we as a country, as a world, face enormous challenges, and we just have to make sure that kids and adults have the type of capacities in order to face up to those challenges.
In most KIP classrooms, they found a way to work grit into the lesson plan. The idea of struggle and character and determination.
I think that you can actually bake into a school culture moments where they do fail, where they do find out that it's not as easy.
We all know that we're not perfect. We make mistakes every single day, and that's something that we grow from, we grow from that.
Both men say that grit, character education, has raised academic performance.
Interesting idea. I was just saying how it's a shame it has to be a movement. You would think these things come naturally, but let's ask our leading educator, Dr. Timothy Hawkes from the King's School in Sydney, and our resident child psychologist, Dr. Michael Carr-Gregg. Good morning to you both, gentlemen. Now, Dr. Hawkes, the notion of being able to fail and still feel good about yourself is one that I guess we would call resilience. Do you think we need more grit here?
Yes, I think we do, Andrew. I think we do need more grit here, because no great or worthy endeavour in life is ever achieved without some sort of modicum of pain. And I think really, with the rise of the whole accountability movement in education, league tables and NAPLAN results and my school websites and so on, we're seeing schools more and more teach to those sorts of things. And yet, the day they leave school, they're not going to worry about the major imports and exports of Zambia. They're not going to worry about the curses, the split infinities, or the joys of quadratic equations. and I'm going to have to say that I think that the thing which we neglect at our peril is character education. And this is really what it's about. It's about character education, and to be able to teach sort of resilience in this rather bubble-wrapped generation, which threatens to infuse our society with people that are unable to be able to cope with failure, and so we've got to do some work with this, I think.
OK, Michael Carr-Gregg, what problems is this current trophy generation approach causing?
Well, literally, you're giving kids trophies for no reason, irrespective of their actual achievements. And if you keep telling children they're great, you're great all the time, they end up with an exalted view of their own merit and abilities. They have a congenital inability to associate effort with outcome. It is a movement which the headmaster there could translate the Latin phrase for, which is torus excretus.
All you Latin scholars out there will love that. Now, Dr. Hawkes, the last time we discussed the nature of a trophy generation, we had a lot of very negative feedback from parents out there watching, saying, well, how dare you tell my child that he or she is nothing special. But it's not really about that. As you say, it's about building up positive characteristics. But I'm sure that people will be out there saying, well, hang on, don't try and teach my kid values, just give them information. It's my job to teach them who to be.
Well, I'd love it if, in fact, that job was undertaken faithfully and well. But unfortunately, realistically, I think that too many students are not being taught how to cope with failures, but they're being protected, and they live a pillowed existence and are protected from the hard edges of life. And I think, therefore, we need schooling experiences where you know, a child is going to dangle on the end of an abseiling a rope, and I'm just about to take some of my boys off to another school, and there's going to be some nasty boys at that school who are going to throw things at my boys. We call it cricket. And you know, to actually be able to cope with failure, of being, you know, with the umpire raising his finger and giving you out, without going into an absolute pink fit, you know, this is very, very important. And I think that for those parents who actually protect the fruit of their loins, you know, from failure and so on and so forth. It's actually a form of child abuse, I think, because they're certainly not preparing them for the real world, which is going to bowl up to them. Let me tell you, the bouncer and the short, sharp ball, you know, on leg stump, which you've got to fend off or get very, very sore.
Yeah, you're not doing them any favours. Michael, really, really quickly, because we're out of time. How do you teach resilience, persistence, grit, character?
With respect to our American cousins, we've been doing it for years in Australia. We're way ahead of the rest of the world. There's a program run by the Beyond Blue organisation called Sensibility. It's a strength-based resiliency program. It integrates all of the important messages that Dr. Hawkes has been talking about into the curriculum, taught by the regular classroom teacher, appropriately trained and adequately resourced.
Thank you very much, Michael Carr-Gregg and Dr. Timothy Hawkes, for joining us this morning. Great to talk to you as always.